Hey friends, I'm Amy Center and welcome to this week's Bible journaling session. We're going to be using the simple method again. So I will wait just a minute to get people in the group and make sure the chat is on. So you can say hello, you can ask questions, and I can help you out with whatever you need. Okay, let's see. All right. Okay, so we are starting on the October monthly printable club. I have a study on trust. So you don't have to have the printables to follow along with me, but this is one of those things where I am trying to give you materials to help you stay in the Word every day without having to reinvent the wheel and figure out what do I study next. I also like to make things that are relevant to pertain it to our real life so that we can grow as Christians and we can learn, discern what God is saying to us, but also not to take it out of context and study the passage of the Bible in its historical context as well. So that's why I came up with the simple method that I'm going to walk you through. And then this is to continue doing your study all month long. So we're going to read a passage every day and write a passage every day, and on Fridays, the assignment, I will do a free Bible journaling lesson, and that's what we're going to show you today. So I can show you some more information about this at the end of the video, but for now, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be studying Psalm 13, and we're focusing on the theme of trust through how trust strengthens our faith. So for those of you who are new, the simple method stands for study, illustrate, map, personalize, link, and expand. And I had a little chart here I usually show you, but I don't know where it's at. So I will put that up in the group if you need that for reference in the comments. But right now you just need to grab your Bible and journaling supplies and follow along with me. I am using my favorite Bible for note-taking. This is the Illustrating Bible. And this Bible is huge, but it's spiral bound, which you can't find very often. They do make a couple new spiral bound Bibles, which I'm really excited about, and I might be ordering some during Prime Day, which is next week. So I'm going to be looking up all these different Bibles and Bible journaling tools that I haven't purchased and shopping those and sharing those deals with you. And I'll be testing them out for the holidays for you to find some good Bible journaling tools to get started. So, or share it with a friend. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one because it has the entire Bible in one spiral notebook. Most of the spiral Bibles that are coming out, they've broken it up into genres, which is totally fine, but I love everything in one place, which is also why I write directly in my Bible. So that's my plug for my favorite Bible. Let's flip over to Psalm 13 and I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see better. I'm on a different computer today, so I will try my best to see the comments, but if I miss your comment, I will reply after the video. I'm usually on my iPad and I'm on my Mac because I was trying to find a spot in my room where my video wouldn't shake the whole time. So hopefully it goes a little better today. And I'm really excited to dig into this October study with you. So Psalm 13, very first step of the simple method is S for study. And that means we're going to read the text and highlight anything that stands out to us as we go. So here's what we're going to be doing. It's a short passage. It's only 6 verses. It's Psalm 13. I'm going to read it out loud. You can follow along with me if you don't have your Bible. And I'm just going to highlight some things I notice. It could be repetitions. It could be words I want to look up. It could be clues about who's talking or a verse that I really love. So anything that sticks out to you, you can do exactly as I'm doing or do your own thing. So here we go. Psalm 13 for the director of music, a psalm of David. So I'm going to highlight David. That lets me know this is David's writing. How long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts and day after day have sorrow in my heart? How long will my enemy triumph over me? So I'm going to highlight this because he says it over and over and over. How long, how long, how long, how long? He also says day after day. So that's important to me. I'm going to keep reading verse 3. Look on me and answer, Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death. And my enemy will say, I have overcome him, and my foes will rejoice when I fall. Okay, so he tells God, look at me, answer me, give light to my eyes. Let's keep going. Verse 5. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me. Okay, so all of a sudden he trusts, he rejoices, and he sings because of love, salvation, praise, and goodness. So those are just some keywords I wanted to highlight. All right, so S is study. We read it, we highlighted. So right now I'm going to write down anything I notice about the passage. So David is the author. And what do I know about I know about David is he's a king. I know that he's a friend of God. And you might not know a lot of facts about the person, but I like to do this to practice my knowledge of applying what I've learned so that it builds on that. And then I kind of you'll grow in confidence when you're like, oh, I can recall something here. So I know he slept with Bathsheba and he had Solomon. That was their son together. So I'm just writing down a couple facts about the author, David. And then I'm going to be asking myself some questions like, what is happening in his life that he's saying this? So that's something I can dig into in the next couple steps. Or like, why the sudden change? Right here, he's like, why? I trust. So it's like you think he's going to turn his back on God. And then all of a sudden he's like, but I trust you. So let's dig into that. With the next step is illustrate. Hey, Margaret, thanks for saying hello. Glad you're here. All right, the next step is illustrate for I. And this step involves adding symbols and doodles to help us get like a visual of what we're reading. And that way we can better follow the storylines. So I'm noticing there's 3 sections here and they've already grouped them for me. So what I'm going to do is kind of define what the grouping is with my illustrations. So right here, we've got, how long, Lord, will you forget me forever? So this whole section, I'm going to draw like a little calendar. Like the little tick marks. How long is this going to be? So this section, when I see this calendar, I'm like, oh yes, this is him watching all the days go by and he's suffering. The next part is, look on me and answer, Lord my God, give light to my eyes or I will sleep in death. And that to me, the give light to my eyes stuck out because it's kind of talking about I'm just hopeless. And you know that feeling you get when you are just so depressed or sad and grieved by something that you're almost like have an out of body experience where you're just almost numb and you're just spacey. I feel like that's the visual that I get right here. Give light to my eyes because I just feel like I'm alive, but I'm really dying inside because I'm so weary right now. And so this to me would symbolize like, give me some hope, give me something that I can hold on to right now. And then the last section, an illustration that I could think of is he trusts in God's unfailing love. His heart rejoices. So I've got heart, I've got love. So I see that visual of a heart. I will sing the Lord's praise for he's been good to me. So he's saying this, he's singing this, he's declaring this because of God's love. He's going to trust. So those are my illustrations for step 2. Feel free to add anything that stands out to you. And the third step is map. This is where we create like a visual organizer to help us see the connections in the passage. So you might use, in the past I've used a T-chart or like a bubble map. You can also use a flow chart for sequence of events. That's kind of a one that I see here right now is like his sequence of emotions that he's going through. But let's walk through the conversation David's having with God right here and kind of track his emotions and the action that he's taking with it. So I'm going to use I'm just going to do it more like a list. So this section is the first section. This is the second section. And this is the third section. And I'm going to give it a little title. I might even change my colors. And this psalm doesn't have a title. And so to me, the teacher in me needs a main idea and details. I need a title. I need a theme. So right here, I'm kind of thinking if I'm relating it to what he's teaching or what he's saying and how it's applying to my life. I'm going to call it Trusting in the Waiting. Which that looks like the same color on the screen, but it is two different colors. Hello, Lisa. So glad you girls are here. We're just on step 3, mapping right now. So we're in Psalm 13 if you're just joining us. So we're outlining this passage right here, which I'm titling Trusting in the Waiting. And the first section, oh, bummer, Lisa. It said, I never said I was online and live. Okay, so there's one thing that I've been testing with. If I go in the event I created and go live in that, it sends different messages than if I just go live in the group. And I thought it would do the same. So maybe that's what the issue is. I need to go live in the event. But I think it will only give you, the only problem is it will only give you the video to be replayed if you're in that, if you RSVP'd over there. I'll have to play with it, but thank you for letting me know about that. Okay, so we're trusting in the waiting. The first section is David's asking why. And I'm going to kind of give a couple things he asks. 3 things he asks. So I'm kind of making up my own little graphic organizer. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, so he asks, why have you forgotten me? Why are you hiding from me? And he says, like, how long must I wrestle with my thoughts? Day after day I have sorrow in my heart. So he's basically asking, why do I have to suffer? Why am I suffering? And as always, I know these videos aren't as clear as just taking a photo. So I will post a picture of this in the comments after I upload the video. So why have you forgotten me? Why are you hiding from me? Oh, I wrote hiding from me. And why am I suffering? And so the next section is where he doesn't just complain or ask why. He tells God, this is my request. This is what I want right now. And he actually says 3 things there that I notice. He tells God, look at me. He says, look on me and answer, Lord my God. Look at me. Answer me. And he also says, give light to my eyes, which we already talked about. And that to me is that, of course, is my interpretation. But my interpretation is he's asking, give me some hope here. So his 3 requests. Look at me, answer me, give me some hope. And then we'll talk about these in a minute. But the last section is now what, basically. So this is his decision right here. This is where he gets to decide, what am I going to do while I'm waiting? Okay, so here's what he decides. I trust in you. My heart rejoices in your salvation. So he's going to trust in love. He's going to rejoice in salvation. And he's going to sing praises. Okay, so we've done SIMP. We're on personalize for the simple method. Now let's reflect on how it applies to us. So we've basically gone through and organized the information so we can understand it as it applies to David. And now we're going to figure out, what is God teaching us? Why was this recorded for us to read again now? And so what can we do? How can we use this lesson in our own life? So what I like to do is think of a real life application in addition to what's a prayer template I could take out of this and what's something I can memorize out of this. So the first thing I think of in a real life application on this is, this reminds me of times in my life I can't help but think, and I'm sure you can't either, can't help but think sometimes when I've struggled with doubt, but I've chose to trust in God's faithfulness. And if you've subscribed to my newsletter or read my About Me page or listened to a podcast interview, I talk about this all the time, my story, my struggle of getting really sick and questioning my faith for the first time and wondering, is God really who I think he is? Is he as simple as I think he is? Or is he much more complex? And I discovered so much depth and goodness to my relationship with God because of my suffering. And I remember specifically praying this prayer. So my personal application right here is to remind myself that suffering and doubt are normal things that Christians go through. And even Jesus wasn't exempt from this. And to take encouragement that David right here, what happened? Why did he all of a sudden just change his mind and stop complaining and changed to, I trust you, I rejoice in you, I sing and praise you? It was, the reason said, for he has been good to me. And when we read this right here, we don't know what he's done unless we read the other books of the Bible or read the other Psalms. It doesn't say what he's done that's good in this verse or this chapter. So if I read this, I'm like, it doesn't sound like he's very good. But David is not reflecting on what's happening right now. He's reflecting on who God is and what he's done for him. So he's thinking about his blessings. He's thinking about God's promises and his goodness in general. So I might write, how has God been good to David or to you? And I'm going to write those things I just mentioned. David had blessings. God made him promises that he kept, and God's goodness in general. He knows that even if he doesn't know what his plan is, he's going to trust it. So while this is so short, I love Psalms. I mean, look how much we get to reflect in here and how applicable it is. And I just love it. I love Psalms, my favorite. Okay, so where are we? Prayer template. This, usually we have a really long passage. This one's kind of shorter. And so I would just say, I have prayed this entire passage myself. I don't think there's a section you need to pick on here. I would, if you are in one of these times where you're needing a prayer template in the suffering and the confusion, this is a great one. It's that reminder of, why, God, please do this for me. But no matter what, I'm going to trust. I'm going to rejoice. I'm going to sing. I know you've been good. I know who you are, even if I don't know why this is happening right now. Okay, so a memory verse that you could do is Psalm, where everything changes. His demeanor changes. He says in Psalm 13:5, but I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. And if you're in the monthly printable club, each week I have a Bible verse that you can memorize. I've got a little card, and each week it changes based on what we're reading. And then I, of course, have the Bible journaling lesson that goes with it to extend that. So this week I'm going to memorize, but I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. And so I'll post that somewhere that I can see it and remind myself of God's goodness in the waiting and trusting in that waiting. Okay, so the next step is link, L for link. And this is the part where we take ourself out of the equation and we take it back to the context that God's speaking in. So if we only read the Bible as what's in it for me, or do the whole what's God saying to me right now, we only get half of what the Bible is teaching us. If we want to really understand even deeper how it applies to us, or a way that, honestly, what I've learned when I go deeper is I learn more of who God is so that I can be more of who he's called me to be. So if I only have this two-dimensional view of God or of the Bible as how can this help me, I miss that 3D version of this is about real people that lived, and they had real struggles. And so I love digging into the historical context, and that's where this step takes place, is the link. So for one thing you can do is look in the footnotes. The footnote on this is a very editorial type thing. It's not very insightful. So we're going to skip footnotes today, but this also makes me think of a word study. So we could look up the word trust and look up other verses that have to do with trust, but that's what the October study is. I've already done that. So this one, since we're talking about having faith and trusting in the waiting, I'm going to look up another verse about faith. So you can go online and just do a quick Google search, verses on faith, or verses about trusting in faith, or you can go in the concordance if you've got a Bible that has study materials. So I found a verse that made me think of the connection between trust and faith. And the word study for faith I found in Hebrews 11:1, and it says faith as confidence and the assurance of things unseen. So faith gives you confidence and assurance of things you can't even prove. So faith and trust are intertwined, and you have to trust because you can't prove anything. You can't determine that it's going to go your way. Just like faith, I can't show you right now a physical evidence of God and what he looks like and how he works the way he does. It has to do with faith, and it has to do with trust. And so I love that verse, Hebrews 11, and that's in the Faith Hall of Fame. I encourage you to go read the book of Hebrews 11 because it just talks about all the different people in the Bible who did things through faith, which is a way to go deeper into this. So the other thing you could do is look at foreshadowing. What might this be referring to, either in the past? Like a lot of times the future authors will reference Exodus or creation. This one is almost foreshadowing Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane to me. So I think about just how Jesus had asked, Lord, take this away from me. But if you don't, I will take this cup and I'll trust in you and I'll keep going. So I even see David's desperation in Jesus's prayer at the garden. And then the last thing, of course, I'm going to plug this because this is where I put all my notes, is my Bible study timelines. And that is where you can go into actually the book of Psalms and get some background historical context. So I would just flip over to Psalms, and then I would learn a little bit about the book of Psalms. And as I'm reading, I'm finding out that this is about David, and these are his poems and his wisdom, but it doesn't tell me much about his life. So you'll know that we talk about David's life in the book of Samuel. So you'd go flip back over to the book of Samuel and get a little historical context of who's David. Okay, there was a priest named Eli, there was a prophet named Samuel, then there was the first king named Saul, and then the second king was named David. Okay, David, is that the same David and Goliath? And you just kind of dig down in there so that you can really get some context. So I don't know specifically what this psalm is referencing, but it's possible it's referencing the loss of his child. It could be Saul going after him. It could be his guilt over Uriah's murder and having the affair with Bathsheba. David did a lot of messed up things. He even had children that rebelled against him. He wasn't the best father. So there's a lot that David could be suffering from right here. So dig into that. Use your commentaries. Use all that stuff. Find out, and it'll give you so much more depth and insight to why was he saying this, and it makes him come alive even more as a human being that we can relate to. So the very last step of the simple method is E, expand. And that just means don't stop here, expand on what you've learned. And all throughout these steps, I've given you different ideas on ways to expand on what you've learned. And one thing that you can do is, where did I write it? Yes. This week you could, sorry, I lost my notes. This week, a way to expand this is to reflect on where you need to trust God more this week, especially in uncertain circumstances. So you might be reflecting on a time that you had to do this in the past, or you might be going through it right now. And it could be something as little as, my kids are sick and I'm worried about them, or I've got a trip and I'm worried about, just flying or anything like that. Like as little as that, all the way to big, huge stuff. Use this. God wants to know about every single part of your life. So reflect on where you need to trust God this week. And then don't forget to expand on what you're learning by joining my monthly printable club to get further into this study on trust. And I do have something I noticed today when I was going to color my pages. If you're in the group, I was so excited about drawing these pumpkins. I copied and pasted these little numbers from my last month, not the pumpkins, but I copied and pasted them, and somehow the 1 through 5 is missing. So if you got your pages and you're like, where's each day that I'm supposed to color? It starts on 6. I messed up and I apologize. So today I've been just coloring, or this week I've just been coloring a little bit of each letter of the October section for October 1st through 5th, because I messed up there, but sorry about that. I got the numbers wrong, but yeah, these pages, there's so much in here. If you're bummed you don't get to color pumpkins, there's more stuff to color in here. There's the memory verse cards. I've got this as my screensaver on my desktop. All kinds of fun stuff in the monthly printable club for you. And then you've got a coloring page in here, and then a cheat sheet on an overview of all the notes that we're of all the verses that we're studying. I took notes on trust, the theme throughout the Bible. So if you have any questions or comments, if you took notes, I would love for you to take a picture of those and upload those to the group. But I will be here next Friday to talk again about trust, but we're going to talk about, instead of trust leading it connected to faith, we're going to talk about how trust is connected to justice in the book of Psalms, again, chapter 37. So I really hope you'll join me. Thank you so much for joining me in here. And I will look into that issue with the event not giving you a heads up, Lisa. Thank you for that. So hope you'll join me next week. Have a great weekend. See you later.